feel it's going to be a bit of a ranty one again. Well, so be it. I've talked about this before. I wrote about it on Substack. Pretty sure I made a YouTube video about it at some point. But it keeps coming up, and I I'll try to explain a bit of my reasoning behind it, or why I have such a problem with the blank rune, of just the notion of it existing. When some blue-haired woketard comes to you and calls you a name that you know isn't true, let's say you are a far-right Nazi, you're going to dismiss that person's opinion immediately because you know where it came from. You can see where it came from. These people throw that word around constantly. They don't even know what it means anymore. They probably couldn't even tell you what the name of the actual original party was. But in any case, you would dismiss that opinion, and you would be right to dismiss that opinion. Because it's important who said it, where it came from. Now, if your friend, a close friend, a family member, somebody you really respected or looked up to, if somebody like that would come to you and say that, you'd probably have a different reaction. You probably would be less dismissive. You'd be hurt, maybe, insulted. Whatever reaction you have is probably not going to be dismissal because of who it came from. And this is important with the blank rune as well. We have to look at where or who it came from. Ralph Bloom. It's entirely possible that he came from a good place. But I'm not quite willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because he comes from a certain branch of Abrahamism that has a history of subversion, of subverting things. Why? Well, I don't know. I can't read his mind. But let's just invert the situation for a moment. Let's say I become a convert. I drop paganism and I become a follower of his specific branch of Abrahamism. And then I'm going to read everything, I'm going to take it all in, and then I'm going to change little bits here and there. And then I'm going to preach it to those people who probably were born into it. But I, the convert, I am going to preach to those people. They would be absolutely right to deride me. They would be completely right to make fun of me, to tell me to F off and to shut up. Yeah, and that's pretty much how I feel about Ralph Bloom as well. Just because he comes from that background, first and for all, and he never, ever said he was a pagan. He wasn't a pagan. That's why in all his books, well, in his writings, let's say, he does not seem to connect the runes to the gods, while anybody that is somewhat even moderately serious about runes knows that you cannot see them loose from gods. There are runes that are named after gods. So there are runes that maybe are not named after gods, but certainly represent a god. The Ansys rune being one of them. Yeah, Ralph Bloom wasn't a pagan. And he seemed to write about runes from the point of view of entertainment, which is already something that I don't find very agreeable. Because, well, it's profaning it, isn't it? Can you imagine somebody writing like that about any other belief system? You think that would go over well too? No, it's only native, ethnic European spiritualities that befall that specific fate. And I'm so And I don't want to keep quiet about this anymore. I have known this for a while now, a long while, and I see it for what it is. You know, and this brings me to a point that the white liberal woman is often told, like, no, 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 you shouldn't get involved in Santeria. No, 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 you shouldn't get involved in voodoo. Those are closed belief systems. And you know what? They're right. They're right. Those spirits, they hate people like me, like you, liberal white woman. Completely standing aside from our political beliefs, by the way. They hate you because who we are, what we represent. And it is entirely possible that our Dizir feel the same way about other groups of people. And that is why, because, and I've seen this happen, people that get involved with runes, and it's not really going well. And it's not going well not in that sense of, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know where to start. I don't know where to go from here. But no, they go full in, and it's at some point they just self-destruct. And not in a glorious or grandiose way, no. It's like they sort of implode. It's like a computer that just breaks down because it can't cope with whatever it's dealing with. And yeah, that is something to keep in mind. Now, if Ralph Bloom did what he did because of some ill intent, then that man is so cursed beyond belief. You wouldn't want to be him. Now, if he came from a place of ignorance, which I don't think he was, then maybe he had a little bit of success then, but still would not want to trade places with him at all. At all. Feel like there's a lot that I want to say on the subject, and I actually had to delete the video because it went into places that are absolutely not YouTube friendly. And look, what I said before about different people, yes, there is a difference between people. There is a difference between demographics of people, and that has a lot to do with the climate where they were born, the genetic makeup that adapted to the specific place where they are located in the world. And I think that everybody would fare a lot better if they stuck to the spirituality that is most, let's say, genetically present in them. I think that would be a lot healthier. Yes, there are differences. I don't want to sit here and deny that there are major differences between demographic people. So yeah, stick with that for your own good, mostly. And also because I don't want people like Ralph Bloom, who had nothing to do with our native branch of paganism, to be able to say these things without any pushback, to insert things into our native spirituality without any pushback whatsoever. He inserted it. For what reason? I can't really know. But like I said before, I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to assume that it was done with ill will. I'm going to assume that. Maybe that's very judgmental of me. Maybe. But I'd rather be on the safe side. And look at all the people that are running with the idea of the blank rune too. Exactly who you would believe or would think. The exact same people that read one book about magic once and all of a sudden they are opening up their online schools. That They go to the Amazon once to have ayahuasca, and all of a sudden they're a shaman. Those people. Those are the people that run with it. I will never take any rune reader serious that uses Minecraft, ever. And there is the argument to be made that, well, Rev Bloom didn't have a lot to go on. There isn't much written about runes and Germanic spirituality, and that, to a certain point, is correct. Of course, we all know that Tacitus wrote about the Suebi people, I think. Not that extensively, it's really not that long, but he did write about them. And he did mention them carving symbols into wood and bone and then cast them. We can safely assume that he was talking about runes. He just didn't have the word for it. Now, the Romans themselves also divined in that way. That wasn't unique to the Germanic people. Runes, maybe, yes, but they had their own methods. In any case, where was I? That there wasn't a lot written about the Germanic belief system, and yes, that is true, but also a lot of it was destroyed. A lot of it was not allowed to be shared due to the advent of Christianity and conversion by sword and water and all that. A lot went lost because of Christianity. And that is now an argument that you often hear, that, yeah, but there seems not to have been a lot of philosophizing done about those pagan beliefs. It seems a bit infantile almost. And, okay, I'll grant you it. That might be correct, even though both Germanic and Norse mythology is very extensive. But okay, philosophizing as in deeper thinking, let's say. We go beyond the myth and we try to extrapolate it to our everyday lives. How is it useful? Which was done with Greek mythology and with Greek mythology and even Egyptian mythology later. And there have been people that have been trying to correct that. Say what you will about him, but Edred Thorsen was one of those people. Freya Aswin is one of those people. Anders Nielsen is one of those people. They're still alive. Yeah. So if you're going to listen to anybody about the deepening of those types of mythology, if you're going to listen to philosophies about those mythologies, why wouldn't we listen to these people who are from that background, who are from that spirituality, instead of an interloper from an Abrahamic background, no less? That should be the biggest red flag that you could possibly think of. Yes, that is indeed part of the reason why I outright dismiss the idea of a blank rune, because of where it came from a branch of Abrahamism. Sounds terribly judgmental of me. I know. Well, quite frankly, I don't care. I don't. Because a lot of things have been done to Europeans and their belief systems, their traditions. It's still going on today. So why the hell should I keep quiet about something like that? That is possibly one of the least consequential things in this world today. But it's consequential for people who want to learn about runes, and you pick up a book and some moron by the name of, I don't know, Ravenclaw, Moonshine, and their stupid retarded names, right? All of a sudden starts writing about the blank rune, and you think like, oh, well, yeah, that must be true then. No. It comes from one specific person who wasn't even a pagan. And it's important for the exact same reason that if you were called a bad name by somebody waving their rainbow flag, yeah, you dismiss it. Because you know they have an agenda. And that's kind of my reasoning why I dismiss the blank rune. Because I cannot, in good faith, exclude the possibility that he had an agenda. Thank you for listening. I have some videos coming soon about the garden. So yeah, much more boring than this. But I really like doing it. So in any case, this was just me trying to explain why I feel so strongly about it. And I will continue feeling strongly about it. But thank you for listening. May you walk with the gods.